Welcome back to Eye on Politics. Texas taxpayers will likely have to pay for the $6.7 million judgment filed against the Texas Attorney General's office in the whistleblower case. 4 plaintiffs were among Ken Paxton's former top hand-picked lieutenants, who he fired after they went to the FBI 4.5 years ago to report potential wrongdoing. In the judgment, the judge said, quote, "The court finds that plaintiffs have proved liability, damages, and reasonable and necessary attorney's fees by a preponderance of the evidence. Office of the Attorney General, by and through its counsel of record, elected not to dispute the plaintiff's lawsuit as to any issue, including any issue of fact in this case, as to the claim or damages." In a statement about the judgment, the Attorney General said, quote, "We will appeal this bogus ruling as we continue to clean up Dade Phelan's mess." The Associated Press has reported that during the final weeks of the Biden administration, prosecutors decided they would not file criminal charges against Paxton. He has denied any wrongdoing and called it a witch hunt. The civil judgment will have to be paid by state lawmakers, and if they don't, the judge said the state will be charged 7.5% interest each year they don't pay. We asked 2 lawmakers, Democratic State Senator Nathan Johnson of Dallas and Republican State Representative Mitch Little of Louisville, who was one of Paxton's impeachment lawyers, if taxpayers should pay for the judgment.
Not a chance in heck, Jack. I mean, if you look at what's going on all over the state of Texas, we're in the middle of a property tax crisis. There's an affordability crisis that's going on. The average person is trying to stay in their home. They're trying to be able to afford their daily life. We're trying to ensure that our public schools are well enough financed. We have a water crisis in this state that we're trying to address through legislation as well. Paying these people who decided to leave the Attorney General's office and felt like they were retaliated against is not in the top 100 priorities of the people of the state of Texas right now.
What the judge said in her judgment was that the Texas Attorney General's office violated the Texas Whistleblower Act by firing and otherwise retaliating against the plaintiffs in good faith who reported violations of law by the Attorney General and the office.
Yeah, the judge made those findings in that case because the Attorney General decided not to defend the case, which was a strategic decision. Ultimately, like I said, the whistleblowers are going to end up with a piece of paper, and they've got to ask 150 members in the Texas House to vote to fund that judgment.
It's been a long time coming, Jack. These were dedicated state employees. You know, whatever ideological differences they might have from anybody else, they were serious, dedicated employees. They were wrongfully discharged for performing their duties and acting ethically. And, you know, I feel for them. I feel for what they've been through, and I think that they've finally seen a just result. You know, when you look at the injustice of asking taxpayers to pay for the wrongdoing of a public official, it's galling. But you also have to look at it from the standpoint of somebody who works for the government, who's dedicated their life to public service and has been wrongfully terminated by the government itself. And for the government then to say to you, as a wrongfully terminated public servant, sorry, we're not going to pay your damages, strikes me as even more galling. So I do think that money to pay that settlement has to come from the Office of the Attorney General. Now, when you look at the Attorney General's overall $1.5 billion budget, a $6.7 million judgment to see that justice is done is not so much. And as far as money that's just freed up, they have a $640 million undedicated general revenue budget. They can pay this, and with a little less waste out of the Attorney General's office, I think there's plenty of money to pay these settlements.
Paxton has also faced state securities fraud charges, but now his lawyer tells me that the Attorney General has satisfied all the requirements as part of a deal with special state prosecutors. Last year, Paxton struck an agreement in the case that's about 10 years old. His attorney, Dan Cogdell, said Paxton paid more than $270,000 in restitution to the victims and performed 100 hours of community service. Up next, what Texas lawmakers are saying about President Trump hitting the pause button on most reciprocal tariffs against other countries. When Eye on Politics comes right back.